I'm going to be showing you all how to make a very simple, oh my gosh. Hi everyone, so in today's video we are going to be making a really simple crochet bandana. I can whip one of these bad boys out in about 30 minutes to an hour, and it takes no time at all. And I also really think that this pattern is super customizable, so you can mix and match and play around with it as much as you want. So, for this tutorial, you're going to need worsted weight yarn. My main bandana is going to be this ombre blue yarn that I have a bunch left over of just from wanting yarn one day. And then I'm going to show you guys how to do 3 different borders, and I'm going to do mine in cream so you can see the difference, but you are welcome to use any color that you want. Also for this tutorial, you will need a 3.5mm or E crochet hook, some scissors as normal, and a yarn needle just to weave in loose ends. So let's get started. This is the first time I'm doing multi-camera views. Oh my gosh, who is she? Alrighty, so to start out, we are going to be making a magic ring. I like to cross my working yarn behind my tail, and then with my hook, we are going to go under the working yarn, over the tail, wrap the working yarn around, and pull up a loop. So once we have pulled up our loop, we are going to chain 2 more to make a double crochet. And then we're going to yarn over and do 2 more double crochets. So pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And do that one more time, yarn over, go under your magic circle, wrap the yarn around, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That has made 1 cluster, and so we are going to chain 2 to make a corner. Go, and we'll make 1 more DC3 cluster. So when we come to the end of that, I like to tuck my tail yarn down inside of my working yarn and tighten it just a little bit. Doesn't have to be super perfect, we'll fix it at the end. And then we are going to chain 3 to get us to this next level. Yarn over, turn, and we are going to go into the 4th chain. It should be at the top of our last DC in our last cluster. And we are going to do 2 more DC to make a 3 DC cluster. So look like that. We're not going to chain, we're going to yarn over and do another DC3 cluster. And when we get to this corner, we're going to chain 2. This is just going to help it to curve more naturally. We'll do another DC3 cluster. And then in this last one is going to be our chain that got us to this level. So instead of going through the top, I just like to go straight into in between that last DC and that last chain. Pull up a loop, we're going to do another DC3. We are going to chain 3 again, yarn over, turn, go into the top chain of the last DC, and do 2 more DCs in that same loop. And from there we're going to continue one around like we did last time. We'll do a 3DC clump in this gap. We'll do 2 3DC clumps with the chain 2 in between. We'll do another 3DC clump, and we'll do another 3DC clump on top of this last chain. At the very end of this row, we're just going to keep doing what we've been doing. So chain another 3 and turn, remember, and do exactly what we've done in the last rows, and you'll see it just keeps increasing and it makes a nice neat little triangle. And so I like to go 10 rows when I make my bandanas. It covers basically from ear to ear and a good chunk of your head, and I think that's, I don't know, I just like how that looks. And you can tell because you can count from your first row, 1, 2, this is our 3rd row completed. So just keep going in that same fashion until we get to 9. Alright, so when we get to the end, you're going to do our 3 DC cluster like normal. But instead of fastening off, when we get to the top of this, we're going to go directly into our tie on the side of the bandana. And so I like to do this one for these because it's less yarn to weave in at the end. So what we're going to do is we are going to chain 40. And so when we get to 40, all we're going to do is just snip our yarn long enough to leave a little tail. I don't even tie these guys off, I just pull it through and tighten it, and that'll lock that yarn in. And so that completes our first tail. And so for the second one, where it's not already attached, what we're going to do, we're going to make a slip knot with the same yarn that we just cut. And so I like to do is wrap the yarn from left to right over my finger, cross it. We're going to pull the little loop off and then tuck our working yarn up under our loop. Pull that through and it'll make a nice little slip knot. Put our crochet hook through it and then just tighten it a little bit. And then so what I'm going to do is go into this top chain on the 3 chains that we made at the beginning of this row. So 1, 2 will be this guy. And I'm just going to go through both of the top layers of this chain. And we'll just yarn over and pull the loop. So we're going to do the same exact thing on the other side and chain 40. And so when we get to 40 on this side too, we're going to do the same thing. Just snip it, leave a good tail, pull it through, and tuck to tighten. So if you wanted to, you could actually just leave your bandana like this and weave in this end, and that'll make a pretty cute bandana on its own. But I'm going to show you how to do 3 different types of edging that I usually use when I'm making bandanas. So I'm going to use my white yarn for that. And the first type of edging that I'm going to show you all how to make is a scallop stitch. So for the scallop stitch, we're going to start by making another slip knot. And we'll insert our crochet hook. And since I'm left-handed, we're going to start on the left side. And I'm just going to go right through that chain that we use for the ties. Pull through, and pull through to slip knot. So, when we make our scallop, we are going to be going into the center DC on our little group, center DC, and we're going to be doing the back loop only so that it leaves a clean edge on the top. And then we're going to finish it off by going into the loops in between the DC clusters. So we're going to make 4 DCs per scallop. So we're going to yarn over, go into the back loop only of our middle DC, yarn over again, pull up a loop. Should be 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 again. That is 1. We'll do another right back into that same loop. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so when we hit that 4, we're going to insert our hook into the loop in between the cluster, pull up a loop, and do a single crochet. And then tug tight. And that will complete 1 scallop. So now we're going to yarn over and do 4 more DCs into the back loop of this next center DC. And we'll do another single crochet into the loop in between the 3 DC clusters. So that will make our second scallop. So I'm going to keep doing this until we get all the way to the corner. Alright, and so on our last 3DC cluster, nothing is going to change except for the fact that we're going to do 5 DCs instead of 4. And we only do this because I found that when you only do 4, it kind of tends to roll up at the end, and so I try to avoid that. So we're going to do 5 this time. And we're going to do our single crochet right into the gap with the 2 chains. And we'll do 5 more in the same middle DC back loop only on the other side. And then we're just going to continue down the other side doing 4 DC scallops until we get to the end. We come to our last scallop, we're going to single crochet in the gap like normal, and we'll do our scallop. And then we are going to go back into that top DC, pull a loop, and slip stitch. And then I am going to pull up another loop, because that's how I've been locking in my stitches lately. And I'm going to leave it as is because we're going to do other techniques on this. But basically you'll fasten it off, weave in your loose ends, and that is how you make your scallop edging for your bandana. You ready to be satisfied and displeased at the same time? Let's go! Alright, this next stitch is one that I've been calling the chainsaw stitch, if for the only reason that I use it on a bandana that kind of looks like a certain anime character that you may or may not know. So, how I do this stitch, make my slip knot, I've got it on my hook, instead of going through the first chain, we're going to go straight through the second chain, and we can go through both loops on this one. Yarn over and pull through and slip stitch. Now we are going to chain 3, and we are going to go through. You'll see how in between, in the gap where your DC clusters are, you can see the middle loop of the row below you's DC. So we're going to go through both of those guys and pull up another slip stitch. Chain 3 again, and then we're going to go back up to the middle DC of the next cluster. Go through both of those, yarn over, slip stitch, and chain 3, and we're going to go through the middle loop in the row below us, yarn over, slip stitch, and you can see kind of what it's going to end up doing. It's going to be like a zigzag stitch, or like a frosting on a cake kind of stitch. This will make a really cute like Vanellope Bon Sweets bandana. So ideals, ideals, ideals. So I'm going to keep going in that fashion till I get to my corner. Alright, so once I have finished that side, you can see what it's gonna end up looking like. Very cute, very simple. And so when I get to the top of my last cluster on this side, all I'm gonna do is chain 3. And then if you kind of tug apart your clusters on this gap, you can find the chain 2 from below, and you'll just go up through that, pull up a loop, and slip stitch, and chain 3. And then on the other side, we'll go through the middle like we've been doing, pull up a slip stitch, and chain 3, and just keep going like normal down the other side. Alright, so I'm at our second to last DC cluster, and I just did my slip stitch at the top, so I'll chain 3, go through my loop down on the bottom, in the gap, slip stitch, chain 3 more, and finish off in the middle DC cluster by our tie. If this is the edging that you've decided to go with, just fasten off. And with these, you can kind of weave them into the edging themselves, and that'll keep it from clashing with your main color. So this is what the zigzag or chainsaw stitch is going to look like. Hurts, don't it? Alright, and so our last edging stitch is going to be what I call a bubble or polka dot stitch. And so to begin this one, we are going to start with our hook in the third DC to the left, so a very far one next to our tie. Yarn over, slip stitch, and we are going to chain 4. This is the same edging that I used on my Demon Slayer Granny Square crochet bandana. So need another video to watch for reference, or wink wink, nudge nudge, anything like that. Alright, so once we chain 4, we are going to yarn over, go through the second loop on hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, go back through that same chain, pull up a loop, yarn through 2, you should have 3 on your loop now, and we're going to yarn through all 3. We are going to go back through that same loop and slip stitch, and we'll get a nice little ball out of it. And then we're going to chain 2, and we're going to single crochet in the edge. And so that's what that's gonna end up looking like. Cute little ball, pom-pom ball on the edge of your bandana. So one more time, I'm going to chain 4, yarn over, go through the second loop on hook, yarn up, pull through 2, yarn over, second loop on hook, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 3, go back through that same chain and slip stitch, and then chain 2, and we'll do a single crochet in the gap. Alright, so we're going to keep doing that until we get all the way to our corner. Alright, so when I'm ready to attach my last pom-pom in this row, I'm going to go into the gap, the 2 chain gap, like I normally would. And then what I like to do is, instead of just doing it down the side, I'm going to add an extra one on the tip here, because I think it makes it look better. So we're just going to chain 4 like normal, do our bobble like normal. And then we're going to just go right back into that gap and do another single crochet. And it just kind of adds to it. And then we're just going to continue on back down that side. So when I get to my last pom-pom, I'm going to do the bobble like normal. Chain 2, and we're going to go into the top DC stitch and slip stitch, and we'll chain 1, and this time I'm actually going to fasten off. Can you believe it? And we'll tighten it to lock it in, and we'll just weave in that end, and this is going to be our finished bandana. If you like this video, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I also have links to all my social media accounts and my online store in my description if you would be interested in that kind of thing. Thank you so much for following me. It makes a world of difference that I know I have people out there who enjoy seeing my things and what I create, and so I thank you all so much for that. I look forward to making more content in the future, so let me know if you have any suggestions or things that you would like to see me do. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you all next time.